this. Okay, we are recording. Welcome everybody. Whoa. Welcome everybody to the third training for creating community, discipling, and care online. I'll be looking back and forth from the live video on Facebook to our Zoom. If you are on Zoom, please use your chat function to ask questions about doing church online. Same here in Facebook. If you're watching on the PNW conference Facebook page, you can ask in the comments, say hello, tell us where you're from. Have you seen the videos, video 1 and 2? If you haven't, you can access those on several locations. You can definitely become my friend. I would love that. We have Kathy sending them out in an email to all the PNWC ministers. And they're also on my blog, AngelaLCraig.com. Feel free to put that in the chat if you want to help other people. Anytime you, thank you, Kathy's on it. She's got the light there for you. Before we came on live, I was showing everyone how to get on Facebook Live easily, quickly. I don't know, what do you think it took, friends? Maybe a minute, really easy. Today, I'm gonna go live later and I'm gonna encourage our congregation at Pursuit Church Live with a challenge, which I'm gonna share with you. If we have not met, let me introduce myself. My name is Angela Craig and I'm the pastor of Pursuit Church Live. We are, I think Janet might be able to confirm this for me. She's on the call today. And we were the first social media church. We're 100% on Facebook. She's nodding, yes. And also in the Assembly of God Fellowship, the first social media 100% online church in the world. We are serving 43 countries and 45 languages. It has blown my mind to see what God is doing. I told more of our story in the first video, so you can go back and watch the beginning of that if you're interested in hearing more, or just reach out. I'm happy to share with you. So it is a dream come true to myself and Janet, who's on my team, who's here today, and for all of Pursuit Church Live team to see so many people jumping on board. And before the call, I shared with you that over 15,000 people were reported to give their lives to Jesus just last Sunday, because so many churches were jumping online using the church online platform. So if you're new, what that is, it's a streaming platform, and you stream to your website, and then you can move that video from Sunday service onto any other platform, meaning to Facebook or to YouTube Live. So when we started in video 1, if you go back, you'll learn why I recommend you start with Facebook Live. We want to give you practical and free help to get started online. And so start with the easy, because there is a lot to online ministry. There's a giant toolbox of things that you can use. I'll connect you to some Facebook pages and resources so you can look into other options as you get more comfortable being on live. But live streaming is important. We talked about this because we are putting people over program. And I feel like really this is kind of the aha that I had going from working inside a church to working online, is that you have to change your style of teaching. You change from maybe preaching to this one-way banking system of conversation to actually having a conversation with people online. And it takes some practice, you'll get used to it, it's very fun. You're gonna have a dialogue. If that's not you, like you're the preacher, then we are going to raise others up. There are lots of people in your church that would love to learn how to speak, love to serve, to disciple others. And online is a great way to be doing that. We talked a lot about that in the first and second video, so I won't go into that now. Pastor Stevens talking about the music rights. Yes, good. Definitely you want to go back and listen to the first video that we did. You cannot, I gave this example. I did at Christmas, I did a Christmas Eve live on Facebook. I had music playing in the background, didn't even think about it. just background music, and Facebook picked it up and shut the video down. Now we have a worship leader that's from Uganda. He gets on in Uganda, and he will go live and he will play copyrighted music, but they don't shut that down. So you can absolutely have musicians and use that as far as licensing. You do need to be careful with licensing. If you're sharing anything, posts, videos, things like that, you want to make sure that you give credit to where credit is due. And so go back and listen to that first class and the second one as well. We talked about discipleship, discipling online. Today we're going to get into some things that are very important for such a time as this. We're going to talk about caring for your community. Hi Kathy, how are you? Say hi if you're watching online on Facebook. All right, we're going to get into talking about how do we care, pastoral care, how do we care for community, how do we be the church to people inside our church, online, and then outside our church, community, and in person. How do you care for someone in person when the governor is telling you to quarantine, to self-quarantine, to stay inside, to not leave your home? Well, that's why this online platform is so important, because we can do so much of building community right here online. And we share stories of that all the time at Pursuit Church Live. And I'm doing my best to share those with you on my blog, so you could read to see that what you're doing today in a time of crisis really should last. Like, you should keep pushing forward to do online and in person, because 2 billion people come to Facebook, just Facebook. And so God wants to give you that gift. Like, if you've been wondering how to get people inside your doors, well, he's giving you this gift of technology to use. And there are people right inside your church that have been on the sidelines, business people, people that are at home that can't, maybe they have chronic illness, that in a normal situation, not just in a crisis, want to serve in the church, but they can't get to church every Sunday. And so we have this army of untapped potential right inside our doors and outside. Many, many people outside are spiritual seekers, and they want you to plug them in. You can do that in social media, in online church, in a very safe way. And so we will talk about those things. Have you been having these conversations of tension around should we, because we're faith-filled Christians who preach a radical, dangerous gospel, right? We preach that Jesus healed. He heals today. He does miracles today. And Jesus went up and he did this dangerous thing. He touched people. He laid hands on people when people had leprosy, when they were sick, when they were unclean. He did this. So how do we wrestle with this dangerous, radical gospel that we have, and then also provide safe experiences for people in our church to serve? So Janet and I were talking about this, and Janet is an expert strategist. She's a program manager at Microsoft. She is the mother of 3 children, wife of Colin. She also is, she's on the board and volunteers at Pursuit Church Live. And she's also on the board and volunteering at her local church, Redmond Assembly of God. So anybody watching from there, you know Janet. She's an incredible human being. She's compassionate. And she's going to share with us today a care. They have a whole strategy, thank you, for creating care teams. So she's going to share with us today, and I'm going to put myself on mute and introduce her. And then I'm going to share a document with you that she's given me, and it will show kind of a picture of the strategy. And so, Janet, you can just let me know what you need, and I will help you on my end. Okay? Sound good?
Okay.
All right,
Great.
everybody here who's on Facebook Live here, sorry, but you will hear Janet, and that is important. And then you can rewatch this section of the video on we'll get it to you. All right, great.
Well, thank you, and welcome. Very happy to be with you today and to talk about this subject. It is a subject that we all need in our churches, and it's something that I think you will find once we start talking about it translates beyond the time that we're in. But what a time to start talking about how do we create care teams in our congregation. And just like Angela was talking about earlier, this opportunity to sort of transform about how we think about how ministry is delivered, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So how do you care for a congregation? A lot of times in our existing church models, it's done by paid staff, it's done by pastoral staff, it's one to hundreds, one to many. But one of the things we're going to find with not being able to meet in person is that model gets really challenging. If you have 100, 150, 200 people who are used to talking to you one-on-one, that's really challenging if they have to reach you on the phone or reach you via text or connect with you directly. So how do we unleash the power of the church to be that for each other? This is really a biblical model. If you look, it's early in the Bible as Exodus. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, saw that he was encountering this problem. Everyone was bringing their problems to Moses. And Jethro said, hey, why don't you raise up people to deal with segments of the population? And then if something comes up that's too big for them, they can bring it to you. You find later on in Acts a similar issue. And around Acts 6, the apostles very quickly discovered they were so busy caring for people. And in this case, they were challenged because there was a certain segment of that population that didn't feel like their people were getting the amount of attention. And they said, but wait a minute, we're also the spiritual leaders of the church. We don't have time to do this. And so they set up a model. And so that's all that we're talking about today is a model of setting up people in your church to provide care. Looks like you're bringing out the document. Awesome. Awesome. So what you see on the screen is a little tiny sliver of the model. Imagine this sort of spread out. So I'll talk about it a little bit. I'll actually talk about it from bottom up. So what we did is we looked at what teams do we currently have in our congregation. We have, like most churches, small groups that have been going for, and sometimes have very strong relationships within the small groups. We did not want to break those teams up. So let's leverage them. Let's reach out to those leaders and try to coordinate that effort a little bit more so that we can provide some guidelines in terms of, in this unprecedented time, how often are they connecting with their people? What are the types of things they're connecting with them with? And then let's have some conversations so that we can get a feel for what is happening and how can we help in a broader scale. But we also found that we had a significant portion of our congregation that was not actively in small groups. And so we looked at it in terms of region. Could we align people that maybe lived a little bit closer together? We did a little bit of this work before some of the social distancing the recommendations became much more stringent. So we are not encouraging people to gather together in any way, but there could be a time between now and when we're back in our church buildings where some of that will start happening again. And so we looked at, in some cases, does it make sense to group people that live close together? Then we had a host of people who regularly attended our services, but didn't necessarily fit in these categories. One of the groups that we paid particular attention to was our senior community. We know that this virus impacts seniors in a more aggressive way. We also know that many seniors, some of them are living in elder care facilities, and this is now a time of isolation for them. Some of them live alone. And just under normal circumstances live pretty isolated lives. The Sunday morning services are some of the few opportunities they have to interact with others. And so our concern was our senior community had some special needs, and we wanted to make sure they were cared for well. So we looked very carefully at how do we distribute them throughout our care teams so that each individual person would be cared for well. The role above that is the care team lead. And this is a lay person who has 5 to 7 people who they are accountable for. And what we're asking of them is pretty simple. We're asking of them to contact each of their 5 to 7 people. And let me clarify, some of those people could be couples. And so technically you could say there's more people, but our thinking was it would be a little weird to put couples on 2 different care teams. In some instances that has happened because of some of the small groups, but in most cases, the care team lead was reaching out to a couple. We are training them to be really cognizant of trying to reach out to both members of the family, not just one member, because we want both to feel connected. So a care team lead has 5 to 7 people that they're accountable for. We're asking them to reach out to them once a week at a minimum. Obviously, if there's something really urgent going on, there may be more conversations. We're asking them to be aware of and have conversations around their spiritual health, their mental health, and then their physical health. Are they sick? How are they doing financially? Now, let me just stop right now. None of us are experts in most of these fields. So we're not looking for expertise, we're looking for connection. And we are doing this together. So we're setting up some support systems for them in terms of giving them resources, in terms of giving them access to leadership, so that if something is too big for an individual care team leader to handle, they have a way of escalating that up the chain and or reaching out to resources that we've made them aware of. And so it is both scary, but it also is a wonderful opportunity to empower people to be the church. And that is what we believe God is calling us to do. And then the third thing we're asking of people, and when you get the document, you'll see there's some other things. There's suggestions that we're putting in here, but I boiled it down to these 3 sort of key points. The third thing we're asking people to do is be led of the Spirit. We're going to give you some suggestions and some ideas, but I was talking to one of my group leaders yesterday, and she said, hey, I have this community that uses WeChat. That's how they talk to each other. I have another group community that uses WhatsApp. That's how they talk to each other. I have another community that is really comfortable with Facebook. So this group leader is talking with them in all 3 platforms. We're not trying to dictate and say, you have to use this one platform in terms of the team communications. Listen to your community and be led of the Holy Spirit. Similarly, we had a situation that came up this week that was really quite challenging. We had 2 young adults in our congregation who are roommates. One of them has been sick for 2 weeks with what we suspect is the COVID-19 virus. The other one had been staying away because she didn't want to get sick. and they needed to do a swap. The person who was sick needed to go to her parents' house, and the person who has been staying away needed to come home, and was really anxious and just really nervous about that whole situation. So remember the three things that I talked about. This person had a spiritual need. They really needed someone to pray with. And so, we excel at that. Rally around and pray with you around your anxiety. But we also found that this person had, they were wrestling. They were having a lot of anxiety and stress around this. And so while we can't necessarily provide those services, we're not licensed counselors, we can listen to those needs and we can encourage them to get the right support. And most of all, they feel heard, that, wow, I'm feeling really anxious about this. And they're not getting shut down in terms of, oh, don't be anxious, everything is going to be okay. Okay, we're giving them a place to, in a community, to voice that anxiety. And then third of all, there were some physical issues. They were concerned that when they got back, they wouldn't be, because they wanted to sort of self-quarantine based on the guidelines, they were concerned, how am I going to get groceries? And how am I going to get cleaning supplies? And so we had to triage that. Our plan changed like pretty dynamically throughout the day. And it was challenging. We had some things we would like to do, but it was really hard to get that coordinated in such a short time frame. And so these are the types of things that care teams will be doing more and more, I think, as the weeks unfold. But you can imagine if a single pastor or a small pastoral team was trying to workshop this just amongst yourselves, it could quickly become really overwhelming. And so we want to empower our teams to be able to do that. The group leader then is providing that same care for individual care team leaders. And so again, based off of 5 to 7 care team leaders, the group leader is reaching out to them, asking them, how are they doing spiritually? How are you doing emotionally and mentally? How are you doing physically? Providing that care to them, but then also coaching and mentoring them in terms of how they're addressing the issues of the care team. So when they're stuck, helping them think through how to handle those situations. And then the ministry team lead, who's over this whole ministry, is checking in with those group leaders and getting a pulse. Maybe there's some emerging spiritual needs that need to be addressed in the whatever online church services are happening. So that's getting to the pastoral team. Maybe there are some additional resources that needs to be investigated at a higher level. Resources that are available in your city, or resources that are available in your region, or using your benevolence fund in a certain way. That having that communication go up at a broader level is a way to look across the whole community and start to identify those needs. And so that is really important, but we want to try to break the cycle of any individual person in the congregation that has one of those needs immediately going to the senior pastor and trying to get resolution there by empowering the broader community to solve a lot of issues before it would get to that point. I have talked for a while, so I will pause and see, are there any questions? One thing I will mention to you, and by the way, I'm Janet at redmondag.org. Feel free to email me if you have questions, or I can send you the document. I do have I have a spreadsheet. I don't want to send that out because there's a lot of individual names in it, but I could sort of strip the names out and maybe give you that template. What we did is we use church teams on a regular basis, but for staging purposes, put this in a spreadsheet and created sort of a hierarchy. And that enabled us to get super tactical in terms of making sure that we were covering everyone. So happy to share these resources. And someone asked, is this Pastor Rob Roy Ranger's church? Yes. He helped sort of kick off this process. And is obviously the spiritual leader for our church and behind it 100% and an advocate. So not a Lone Ranger doing this on my own. This is under church leadership, and we're working on this real time, and so are learning just like everyone else as we go.
That's great. Thank you, Janet. For all of our people on Facebook Live, I am wishing that we could have streamed through Zoom, but it did make me think of one other thing you need to know about online ministry and Facebook specifically. We have this right now, this instance where we can't stream from Zoom to Facebook, which is normally something we can do. And we're guessing that it's because there are so many people on Facebook right now. Yesterday, I was having an extraordinary problem, and Facebook was just, the wheels were turning. Wednesday it started, but that right now they're over capacity. So one thing, when you use Facebook Live to stream, here is the beauty of Facebook. If you're talking and you're streaming to Facebook Live and you see your phone start circling, don't panic. Facebook has a mechanism where you just keep talking and the recording will actually correct the time when the video is off. So we learned this just from doing it many times, but it's really pretty cool. So if you are on Sunday, you're streaming on Facebook from your phone and you see it start to circle, don't panic. Just know that just keep talking, keep doing what you're doing, and recognize that when the person on the other side is seeing it, they will hear what you're saying. So just keep going. I hope that's encouraging to you. We want to know how you are serving your community in person and online. We have talked a lot about serving online. How do we care for our community online? Well, there's lots of ways we've talked about. We've talked about having prayer times, really important. Maybe you want to go live with a devotional on your page every day, just sharing with people and encouraging them and keeping them focused on the truth that in the end, God wins. We win. We don't have to be afraid of death. We have life. And so we can work together to help people. Today, I'm going to go live with a message about who is your one, which is very profound to me. When the season of Lent began, our church came out and said, okay, who's your one? Who's the one you're going to pray for in these 40 days leading up to Easter? And so today I was thinking to myself, wow, okay, when we started that campaign, who's your one, we really weren't thinking in terms of coronavirus. But now you and I have this opportunity to get those people that are on the sidelines plugged in to not only just pray for your one, but to connect with your one. Like Janet has said, connect via whatever method works for them. If that means going to their assisted living and being on the phone, but being able to see each other through the glass window, then that's what you should do. If it means being silly and wrapping up a roll of toilet paper and leaving it on your neighbor's porch to just connect with them and be fun and be, we have to laugh, right? That would be a great idea too. Last night on our Pursuit Church Live, you can go and watch that. Pastor Cindy Pollard went live, and she had some great ideas for connecting in person with people in a safe way. So we want to be safe. I will also post a video for Richard Hammer. He's our legal counsel at Assembly of God, and he gave really good guidelines for our churches to follow in a time of crisis, because we do need to provide safe environments for people to serve, and there's lots of them, and we can brainstorm those. And so please, if you're watching the Zoom video, if you're partaking in that, please put down what you've been doing, because I know many of you have been doing some really innovative, creative things. And so together we can combine and come up with a list. The idea of the toilet paper was Charity Rattray from our church. And so I loved that. I thought that's so fun, because we really have to be lighthearted about it, right? I asked Bev Jorgensen, who is a member of our church at Pursue Church Live. She is in an assisted living that has closed its doors to all visitors, and the residents can't leave. Imagine that, not being able to leave your home. I mean, you are like Paul in prison. And so we have to find a way to be able to communicate. Bev is trying to find ways to communicate the gospel to people around her and people outside. And she loves to pray and she loves to letter write, so she's doing that. But she gave me a list of things that to share with you today, and I can put these in the comments, but just from her experience of being in this kind of quarantine state that we're in. And I want to say hi to Michael Forney. Hi, Michael Forney. Thanks for organizing this. What a huge privilege to be here with you all. So thank you for organizing that. It means so much to me and to all the people, thousands of people that are watching. It's just incredible, blowing my mind, really. Okay, so back to Bev. She wrote some notes. Like, okay, if you have an iPhone, you can FaceTime, right? If you don't, you could Marco Polo. I shared this in one of the earlier videos. I love Marco Polo. I do this with many of my team members, and it's great because you can see each other's faces. I can record when I'm in the car, when I'm doing dishes, and you're sharing life with people. Seeing people's eyes is important. We're always looking for someone who sees us, someone who can look into our soul and our spirit and see who we are. And so we need to not just text, but to try to find ways to use video to see each other. And she's saying random text, like thinking of you, sending pictures or prayer messages, scriptures, cards. You could drop by cards on someone's porch or at the office, at the retirement home. She's like funny memes. Ordering a book or a surprise to be delivered to them. Amazon right now, even Amazon is like a few weeks out, but there are other small businesses that we can support in that way, that we can order from the small business. So think about small businesses in your area that you could support during this time. And I know, like, our local restaurant here is now doing family meals, takeout style, and it's incredible. And it's cool to see people's pictures we have a community Facebook page of people sharing and just being blessed by these meals, and then being able to keep people in business. So other ideas, what other ideas do you have? Always, like Janet says, checking to see if people need groceries. So who is your one? So maybe that could be your challenge to your congregation. Who is your one that you're checking on? Who is your one that you're praying with? Who is your one that you are FaceTiming with every day? Who is your one who you're shopping for? And the last thing that Bev says is to bring hope for the future. Like, make plans, start making plans for the future, because this isn't going to last, right? This is going to be over. And then you can, she's saying, like, get a gift certificate for somebody, and you can plan a time on the schedule in May or June or whenever you want to go out. And like, for her, she loves to get her nails done. So a lot of times I live close to her, so we can do that. And so great ideas from Bev Jorgensen, one of our members at Pursue Church Live. We love her. It's really great. And she's been able to participate in church because of online, because of Facebook, because of technology. So remember, when we're thinking about online church, yes, for a time like this, but for moving forward, because it does build such relationship with people to bring them into your church when they can come. All right, I want to check the chat and see how you guys are doing. I see you are putting a lot of stuff, which is great. Okay, let me read through here. Excuse me one moment while I read. Okay, so it looks like, Eric, I should just have you say this out loud because I don't want to totally mess it up. So he says, this week we have given our team a simple and intentional touch-based training. We encourage our team to ask three. How are you really doing? Okay, you know what my favorite, and this was not, I did not make this up. My favorite question is, how is your heart? How is your heart? So how are you doing really? I mean, really, that's what we're saying. How are you doing really? Like, how's your heart? How are you doing? And Janet mentioned this too, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. These are the things we're looking for. Number two, the question is, do you have any current needs, again, that we can afford to a care team or to a pastoral staff or take care of ourselves? Can I pray with you? Number three, can I pray with you? And then could you forward that to your prayer team? But at Pursue Church Live, and I'm just going to say from my experience with online ministry, your prayer team won't be able to handle all the prayers you're going to get. So we teach our congregation, as it's done in the Bible, that we pray for each other. They're not looking, we've trained them, so they're not looking for Pastor Angela or Pastor Janet or Pastor Cindy or Pastor Mario to come in. They're not waiting for that. They know that they pray for each other. And so I think that's the culture we create, is this otherness, to be able to serve each other in prayer. I don't have more power than someone else does, nor do you. So we need to teach our people a different type of structure. It really flattens the hierarchy online as well. So great. And you, looks like you have a prayer wall. So he's doing online prayer list requests, and you can go to that. Eric has put that in the chat for you, so you can go and visit their prayer wall or see how they're doing it, or just ask him. Good job. Okay. Nancy, phone calls. So she says, I have spoken to my elderly congregants and given them phone contacts to reach out. And so very similar, like we want to meet that tangible need of people. Sometimes it's the smallest thing is just getting hand sanitizer dropped off to you. I did notice that Costco is now saying that you won't be able to return your hand sanitizer or your wipes or your toilet paper or your rice, which I thought was interesting. Rice was on it, or Lysol. So you might as well share it. So that is awesome. Who's your one? We want to ask, who's your one? All right, Jeff says, we have several people in our church that do not have or use internet at all. So we have divided our small churches into 5 groups. Our board members will ensure everyone is contacted at least once a week and keep people connected. Okay, so Jeff, we're challenging you then to figure out how we can include the rest of your members in that. And I know you're thinking about that already. I'll just share personally my experience. Statistics are that churches do not grow because they lack the ability to give proper pastoral care. And so I ran into this, as you can imagine, just like every single pastor does. I think that the stat is we can care for about 30 people. One person can, and that would be like you're called to it, right? Like that's not everybody. 30 people is a lot of people to care for and keep track of. And so when our church hit 10,000 at the first year, I had to, and Janet can attest to this, we had to pull back and say, wait a second, we can't adequately care for anybody else. Like there's no way this team, at the time we had 22 volunteers, and they're volunteers. Everybody at Pursuit Church Live works another job. So I work full time as the pastor, but that I also teach at Northwest University, because we decided at the beginning that that's what we were going to do. We were going to pour our money back into our congregation, because online church is not expensive. I was looking at our costs for last year, and they were under $10,000. So it's incredible, and nobody's getting a paycheck. So I know, don't you love that? Not really, I know. Pastors should get paid. I'm not saying that, but in this case, it's worked for us. All right, so when we had 10,000 people, we had to say, okay, we need to build teams. Pastor Angela, Janet, Cindy, Mario, Sunny, Ron, we can't be the only ones. We have to teach people how to take care of each other. So the other, and again, it goes back to who's your one. Like, how do we connect people in, how do we integrate people in community? So important when we're talking about care strategy. Let me move down here a little bit. People are so open to be prayed for right now. Neighbors, friends, people on Facebook that you maybe never met, or an acquaintance, or, you know, that you could say, you know, private message me and I'll pray. They're so open and receptive to the gospel this time. And we're seeing that. And then the numbers are showing. And I hope that this is encouraging you. If you have gone online this last week, tell us about your experience. Like, I know, I'm trying to remember who it was, shared with me on Facebook that they had never been online. They did Facebook Live, and they normally have 40 people in their congregation, and they had 200 people watch. I mean, how encouraging is that to a pastor who has felt like, you know, like, my church is dying, right? I mean, that's an honest assessment of what's happening in our churches. And just like the church in Acts 2 that we read about, and we opened with that, reading about the early church when in session 1, they had to adapt to being persecuted. And then we had to adapt as we came into this new Christian age of having people in buildings, because that's what worked, right? People came to buildings. You think about 20, 30 years ago, and the husband would go to work on Monday, and if he didn't go to church on Sunday, the boss would ask him about it. Well, things are a little bit different, right? Things are a lot different. No one's asking you on Monday morning if you went to church. So we are now in this new phase, this digital age of church, and we are adapting. We have to have adaptive leadership. We have to be flexible. We have to be fluid. We have to be holistic. And so I'm just so happy that you're jumping on board, because it will encourage you. It will encourage you. Okay, Eric says, I sent a short training video to train leaders on the care call process. Bravo. I mean, you can record a video on your phone now, make a messenger group of your team and post it. You can send it through text message, depending on how big it is. There are lots of ways we can get information to our teams. And so great, you guys are talking and helping each other. So awesome. What about you watching on Facebook? I hope you are encouraged. We're going to share this video with you so you can watch it and see all these beautiful people that are here today. And so, hey, Abraham, how are you today? Dustin Weber, nice to see you. Tim, Nancy, Bonnie, how are you today? Thank you so many of you who have been here for all 3 sessions. That is a huge commitment, I'm telling you. And boy, have we been teaching like from a fire hose. So I want to make sure that you have practical skills, because there is a lot for your toolbox. And so we want to pare that down to picking what works for you right now. There's a lot you can try. I recommend that you go with the one thing that your congregation needs, and that is for you to connect with them in personal ways right now. I know that our superintendent of Northwest Ministry Network, Assembly of God, he's been doing videos from his living room. And you know what? That personal touch in this time of crisis makes a huge difference when we can see someone in leadership that's really having that personal touch with us. So don't be afraid to make it casual. This Facebook Live has been really casual since we couldn't stream. But there's always a way, as I said before. If the door is closed, we go through a window, and you just can't get too upset about anything in the technical world, and especially as more people are going to try to access it. Okay, I want to look at my notes here and just make sure we're not missing anything. Let's give Janet just a round of applause. She is incredible and thoughtful, and I really appreciate her being here with us today. She was sharing the stuff with me so that I could share it, and I was like, but you're the expert, you should share it. So that's good. All right. I'm gonna say hi to my baby boy who's just starting to do his online classes. Hey Brett, how are you? Good. Good morning, sweetie. One of the things I noticed pastors are talking about now, maybe you have always led from an office, or maybe you have you've worked at home, but your kids were in school, and or your partner, your wife or your husband or whoever it is, whether you're a male or female leader, they were taking care of the kids and kind of keeping the space quiet for you. And all of a sudden now you have this, your house is full. And that is how I've always done ministry. And I've been so grateful to be able to do that with my, I posted a picture the other day, started out with toddlers, and now I have dogs. And well, now kids too. But they're, 18 and 20. So there are lots of strategies and I think I will write about it because I think it's really important to include them in your ministry. Start having your kids pray for people. God knows who the person is. They don't need to know the names, right? But we can have them doing things online. I mean, being online, technology is our kids' first language, they say, not English, but technology. And you've seen it. You've seen the babies playing with the phones. They know how to navigate it better than us. So they might know how to navigate your iPhone better before they could speak. So there are lots of ways that we can integrate. That would be another great training of balancing work life when everybody's at home, right? I just want to encourage you to be open-minded and adaptable about the way that our world is working right now. Okay, so we talked about, I think Janet brought up this really great point, is that the pastor, you, me, Rob Roy Ranger, we recognize that we can't do it alone. That to be successful, to grow our churches, we need to include other people. And that is the biblical principle of discipleship, is that we teach, and Jesus showed us he would teach, but he invited the disciples to walk alongside them to try ministry. And when they didn't do it right, he just said, well, this is how you do it. We're going to try again. Whereas in our world now, we've kind of got this structure of hierarchy that there's the pastor and then there's the board, and all of the work is done by the few volunteers. But everybody else just comes and are more consumers than being consumed by the mission of God. And so now we have this opportunity to really release this body of people that want to put their gifts to work. God has given everybody a role in this story. There's nobody left out. It doesn't matter if you're, 5 or if you're 95. If you're still breathing, you have a place. Your life matters, and we need to get people plugged in. So don't overlook people because of their circumstances. There is a safe place for every person to serve, and a lot online. So one of the questions that was asked in the last meeting was wanting to know, like, how do I actually train up online teams? And I just want to go back to your chat here and make sure I'm not missing anything. Training online teams is very similar to training in-person teams, as you can imagine, except for the technical things that we talked about in earlier videos of keeping people safe. We have incredible boundaries, but in the world we live in, we have to have incredible boundaries and training for people in person. Online is safer, for sure. as far as the physical distance that we're experiencing like right now. And so let me just make sure before I move on. Oh, Janet's giving an example. Yesterday, my husband and I, from a safe distance, prayed with several people at Home Depot. It's amazing how open people are to prayer right now. Some of our longtime friends that are not religious have recently said yes to prayer. Yes, so encourage your teams to be asking. Nancy, I love tech handicap. Trust me, we all are until we're not, but you are doing great. I'm glad this has been helping. And you know what? The person that really knows everything about this is God, and you know He's going to help you. And so yes, I love this. So she said, I still don't feel terribly confident. Well, it's okay. Either do I. But you know what? The Spirit, God is working. Holy Spirit is working, and it's such an incredible thing to see you just stepping out. I think obedience gives us freedom, and obedience gives us confidence because we see God working in our weakness, right? One of my favorite verses. So keep going. And I would say watch yesterday's video on Pursuit Church Live if you're looking for more ideas for in-person care. We talked about helping people understand, like Pastor Cindy did, like if you're going to make food for someone, you need to wear gloves, like technical things. These are not things that normally we would share as a church, but I do think it's important right now to connect the entire whole person, the mind, the body, and the spirit. We have to be holistic in that way. So it may seem silly, but your congregation needs to know what is helpful for them. Okay, so let's talk about building teams. I'm a Strengths Finders coach. I love a Strengths Finder. I became a coach because I saw how it was transforming myself and my team at the Northwest Ministry Network. When we work on teams, we might have some people that we are closer to than others because they get us. And then there's always the outliners of people we don't get. We don't get like where they're coming from. They don't get us. Have you ever been there? And so Strengths Finders, there's a lot of different personality tools. And so tell me if in the chat, if you've taken Strengths Finders, maybe your top 5. It's an assessment. You can take it online now, or you can buy the book, and there's actually a Christian version of the book, and you can take the assessment, and it'll give you your top 5 strengths. And so what you will find is just how strengths will not only help you as an individual to hone in on what God has created you to do in ministry or outside. We're doing ministry if we're working at Microsoft, or if we're working at Amazon, or if we're working at the coffee shop, or if we're working as a nurse or a doctor, or whatever it is that God has called you to. These strengths you will see working. And so I highly recommend it. You might even consider going through strengths with your whole church. I know we did the DISC profile, which was fun, just because it was easier and it was free for people to take. And so you might consider doing something like that, like having your whole church going through it. It's a great time to kind of resurrect those spiritual gift tests that you've had in the past, and start helping people to get plugged in, get them excited about serving. Because right now, if you're feeling isolated, if you start feeling anxious, if you start feeling depressed, we know that helping others is what helps us. And I'm not talking about clinical depression that I would say you need a doctor and medicine and counseling for. I'm talking about just this, the crisis depression that we can feel, the crisis anxiety we can feel. And so serving others will help us. Helping others helps us, right? So strengths, I highly recommend Strengths Finders. And so you want to start finding out who the people are in your congregation, learn about them. There are a lot of times when the people that you don't get are the ones you need the most. Because if we align our leadership with just people like us, yeah, this boat would not be afloat. And Janet can attest to that. I'm a learner. I'm an activator. I like to learn, yes, but I also like to activate. That means that, and if you're an activator, you're someone who throws the darts with your eyes closed. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm impatient as all get out. But Janet has these strategic skills that I need. She has a deliberation skill that I need to slow me down and say, well, have you thought about this? And so we need each other. And so you start to see God take this puzzle that he's given you, a puzzle of your church. It's a beautiful puzzle of the kingdom. And right now it might feel like you're missing some pieces, but trust me, the pieces are all there because God's plan is for the church to build the kingdom. And so we just have to embrace those gifts and plug them in where it's needed. I do a lot of coaching individually and then also with church groups and outside the church as well with strengths. So if that's something you need help with, you can email me. And it's really fun. We have a lot of things that we do in classes. Can be 4 hours. It can be a weekend. That's super fun. And let me just look back at my notes here. So knowing, number one, when you're building a team inside or outside the church, you want to know the strengths of your members. We are remembering that everybody is a part of God's story, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. How do we get them plugged in? We want to get people off the sidelines. And because when people serve, they are invested in what you do. And so we know this is no surprise, but now during this time of crisis, we have a better than normal opportunity to get people plugged in, right? Okay. We need to have a purpose in our life, like the Bible says, or we perish. It's true. Some other resources. Oh, before I go on, one of the things that I think about when I was talking to my kids about this last night, getting people plugged in, and I was telling Austin, okay, who was the icon in World War II when men went to war and women went to work, which wasn't typical, but women were doing jobs that in factories and shipyards and things they had never done before. And so, and they excelled in these places of management and providing when the men were away. So we need to recognize that there are hidden gifts and talents and skills and strengths and passions in people around us. And so I looked up this Rosie the Riveter picture. Let's see if I can find it here. Well, anyways, you probably have seen it, but it was inspiring to me. I have so much up on my computer right now to share with you. Jeremy, what is Jeremy saying here in the chat? Henriette. That's wonderful to know. Great. We have other strengths finder coaches, and so you can get connected. We can connect you with links. So let's do that for sure. Jeremy, and I apologize if I slaughter your name. That's one thing being on social media when people are coming, especially from other countries. For example, Africa, they don't do first last like we do, first last name. So their first name is usually the region where they're born in or a description of their birth. And so names are important. And so it's okay, I hope that I would say, please tell me how to phonetically pronounce that because I don't always, I don't always get it right. A lot of times I get it wrong. And so forgive me for that. All right. Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad you brought this up, Jeremy. So after the first session, I felt like I should use groups more than a page. Now, there's a difference between pages and groups. And I think my biggest thing about pages and groups is you start with a page because that's reaching your community inside your church and then outside your church. And Facebook's going to share that to your region, your demographic, the people in your city. So for instance, Angela in Seattle is talking about spirituality, is going to reach those people that are have an interest. So a page is where you want to start. Groups, Facebook is very much promoting groups because they want to promote meaningful community, and so they feel like groups are where it's at. But you don't want to have a group and then post from your, let's say you go live on Sunday and then just cross post. I've done this. People are like, why am I getting this video 10 times? Because we have a lot of groups. And so I really think that your group has to have a theme. It needs to be, have a meaning behind it. So yes, have a group, but have a purpose for that group. Know what the purpose is. And so for instance, you might have a group that's private, that's a prayer group for your members. You might have a private group to talk about the Sunday sermon. You might have a private group and go through a theme of the week or the theme of the month. And that's something that right now would be a felt need for somebody. Like you want to do right now, you might want to talk about anxiety and depression, and you can get free resources from, like I said, CV Outreach, if someone wants to put that in the comments. They send you each week, they'll send you a theme with a video and with free graphics and with what to say in the post. And you could elaborate on that. You could go, you could do your pastor blog. I love that, Jeremy, I think it's, now we have a lot of comments here, but that you are doing video devotionals on the group page. And I think you should do those on your public page as well, unless there is things that you'd only be saying to your members, but you would say that to your community as well. So I think the world needs to see those. Does that answer your question better? Oh, okay. So then today he says, sorry, Jeremy, I'm only just reading like one sentence at a time. He says, today I went live on the page, then shared to the group, but I'm not sure how Facebook helps or hinders using the page versus the groups. I don't think it hinders anything. I think you just have to test it and see which audience it's hitting. So you can check on your page in Insights how many people are viewing at what time. When you go on to do your devotionals or do your lives, have a set of people, and this is a great care team for you to develop. We call them encouragers at Pursuit Church Live. Have them there to like, to share, and to comment. Like, share, comment. So because that is how Facebook is going to push your content out to your community outside your church and to the people that have liked your page, because then they see it as relevant content to share. Now, groups are a little bit different, and you just have to play with them, and there's no wrong answer. I'm telling you, you're only going to learn by trying. And so you'll learn by trying. If the content is live, you're going to get more views. So even when I share a video that I've already posted to my groups, it won't get as many views typically, and this is just us, it might be different for you, as many replays as when we were live, because live, people love the interaction of live. So if you can have someone, Jeremy or anybody else who's trying this, on your page then for you, and it could be a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old, honestly, my nephew could do this, can share it to your group for you. And so that's important. And then Facebook sees it and goes, oh, look, somebody's really interested in this content. We should get it out, and they'll share it for you. On the first video, I had written down to talk about promotions. Facebook will keep asking you, and they'll say, this video has gotten 90% more traction than anything else you posted. Do you want to promote it? Well, when we started, I had this rule that I would promote for $7 for 7 days. They don't allow you to post for $7 anymore. What I'll do is, the rule is you go through your insights and you'll look at which of your posts, if you want to promote, and you don't have to do this by any means. And I can tell you that $50 does not work any better than $10 from my experience. Now, this could change tomorrow, but I would say if you go $10, 10 days, like $1 a day, it's worth your while. If you have a post that's getting a ton of traction on your page, then you can do this. But what you'll need to do is assess, like, going forward, how much of your budget do you want to put towards online ministry? And so that's why I say test Facebook Live first, use the free resources they have, pages and groups, play with it for 6 months, then decide, do we want to invest as a church into bigger online ministry? So then you might look at doing church online platform where you're streaming to your you would need some technical support from your church, and God probably will raise that up if that's what he's calling you to do. You'll need some financial support from your church, because it can be, $5,000 to $10,000 depending on the equipment you get. And then the monthly fees can be $79 to $400 a month. So you can see how, start with what's free, test it out. Don't be afraid to test new things. That's the beauty of online. You're always changing, always adapting. So really good questions. And thank you, Jeremy, for sharing that. Honestly, just so great. That's why I want to give you practical skills, because most pastors that I meet and have the privilege to consult with and to train, they don't have funds to do this. And they sometimes don't even know that there's this army of people inside their church, small and mighty army, that's really, really interested in doing online. Maybe they're on Facebook all the time and haven't even seen the value in it. And when you say, hey, I'm looking for someone to help, to be an encourager for our Facebook page, anybody can do that. And so with some simple things, and on our PCL digital training ministry training page, which we can share the link for, I think close to 200 people have joined that since we started these trainings. That's a page that we use to train our people, our digital ministers at Pursuit Church Live. But you can use the information for sure. There's the checklist, the social media checklist, which is what you need to keep your people safe. It tells what to do and what not to do online, and you want them to sign that and give it back to you. It has job descriptions for our encouragers, for our prayer teams. And so I would, you can take those, you can copy and paste, you can download them, whatever you want to do. It's all free to use. If you ever see graphics on my pages you want to use, you can right click them on Facebook and save them to your computer, and then upload them is the best way to share content. I don't recommend sharing something from someone else's page to your page. If you share it from my page, I get credit for that. Like Facebook's like, oh, they're sharing, but you do not. So as far as the way the algorithms are working today, you should download the graphics or the videos, of course, giving credit to where you got them, and then uploading them to your site. Okay. Yes, does Facebook push pages or groups? It really depends. It depends on the content you're putting out. If your Facebook groups, this is why I think groups are for the local church really a good thing, because they already have a connection to you. So if you put a group of women who can't meet in person right now into a women's group specifically, these women will bond. They'll invite other women from outside. So right now, you start a women's group, and you're going to do a Beth Moore study, whatever you're doing, together in this group. Those friends can now invite friends from outside that haven't come to the physical church into this group to do Bible study. Now, that's going to get a lot of traffic. And Facebook then will encourage you by basically sharing it with your neighborhood, so your surrounding area within 25 miles. But really, they're trying to create meaningful community. So I would say they're going to push both if you have meaningful content to create meaningful community. Oh, thank you for clarifying her name. Henriette. Okay, so I'm pronouncing it Henriette. and it's Henriette. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you so much. I love that. That is a gorgeous name. All right, Steve. Okay, Pastor Steve, we talked about Facebook Lives and interaction in the first and second video. So I know you're planning on going back, and I think you've listened to some of that. But interaction with audience and viewers, really important. The difference between preaching from a stage and having people sit there and listen is it's different being online. So just as I'm talking to you now and we're having a conversation and I'm saying hi to Tim and I'm saying hi to Emily and I'm saying hi to Michelle Coates and Adam and then we're getting them involved in the conversation. That's a part of active discipleship. Active discipleship is really important online. We want people to be integrated in faith and with each other. So when we're praying with people, we're inviting our audience to pray with someone in the comments. Read down the comments and pray with someone. Just like right now I'm saying, read down the chat in the Zoom and see if you can help one of your friends here in this group. It looks like someone is helping as well. So ask the question again if I haven't answered that the way that made sense. Because I might be answering a totally different question. Okay, let's go back to training up groups. Okay, should we accept into groups any friends that others invite if they haven't answered the membership questions? We actually go back and message the person and ask them. Just and usually you'll know if it's someone who's, a lot of people just, you can see they're part of like 2,000 groups, and so they see Christian group and or women's group, and I have men try to join my women's group and I say no. But yes, it's totally fine to message them and say, hey, fill out the questions. Is there any downside to blanket accepting other group members? Okay. You need to set and you need to set your security on your groups. One way to do this, if you want to just say accept all, you can do that, because you can set in a group on Facebook, and this does not apply to other platforms, but on Facebook you can set your security so that the admin has to approve any post. So you can't control when they like or when they comment, but you can control what they post. So what I'll do is I will accept all, and then I can see, or the moderator of that group can see the content that they're posting. And if they're posting things that are spam or trolling, then you can delete it and block them from your group. And so that gives you a lot more tools to be able to safely say, I could accept all. And I honestly have rarely in 3 years had comments I had to delete. It's really the content they're trying to push to different groups and whatever their agenda is. And so that is the safest way. What a great question, Jeremy. Thank you for asking. And Keely, what questions do you ask? Can you expand on that? Oh, that's good. Good advice. Oh, I see. Okay, so Erwin answered your question. Thank you for reading that well. So the question was, what kind of questions do you ask when you have these questions they have to answer in the group before they join? You can actually Google as well and say, what questions should I ask for my group? And they'll give you some ideas, membership questions before they join. But really you're trying to find out what their intention is. Or you could also collect information this way. You can ask, how did you find out about Pursuit Church Live? Or how did you find maybe your group is Equip Her. How did you find out about Equip Her? We're so happy you're here. A lot of times I'll go in and see, and maybe you saw this too, Keely, is people are like, give me your email address. And then they'll, and with the, basically with the information of what you're going to do with that, you have to tell legally what you're going to do with that email address. But a lot of times people will say they want to verify by sending you an email. That's also a way to do it. So good things. And there's a lot of, you can YouTube anything, you can Google most anything with Facebook, and they'll give you suggestions for that. All right, building your team. Let's see where we're at. We are at 10:15. How's everybody doing? Get a drink of water. All right. I have a couple of different resources I want to share with you. The Engaged Church is a book. I went through a class when I was learning how to be a Strengths Finder coach, and it was called The Engaged Church. It's an older book, but is one that would be great to read, even as a church, but definitely with your teams. And I'll share that in the chat right now. I actually have the link right here. And then I also have, my latest book is called Pivot Leadership. And right now that's free on Kindle if you go to Amazon, and you can get that. It's not about online ministry, if you can believe that. It's about leadership skills. So building personal leadership and community leadership. And there's also a book that goes along with it it's a training manual. So it has, at the end of each chapter of Pivot Leadership, it has exercises for you to do for yourself or with other people. And so I put all those activities into a trainer's book, because a lot of times leaders need things for team meetings. Like you need an icebreaker, or you want to do an exercise with your team. So this is a way that you can do that. I imagine a book on practical tips to go online would be helpful right now. And so I'm gonna do my best to take some of the things we have learned in this, because I've learned so much from you by doing these 3 training sessions, and try to put that into a format for you. I will also do a whole list of the resources we've talked about, and that should be online on my blog. I'll send it to Michael and Kathy, and they'll post it. They can send it to you, and you guys can add to it. That would be great. I'll put it in the PCL Digital Ministry training page as well. And so we'll just make sure that we're sharing as many resources as we have, because we all have a different circle. We've met different peoples, and so let's keep sharing and finding the best things for each other. So I'm going to put this growing an engaged church. This helps you get people plugged in. Henriette, I don't use, I have used cameras. I've bought lighting. I talked about this in the first video a lot, because what I found was the more complicated we make going live, the less likely we are to do it. And there is a giant learning curve. So if you have the resources of people who are like, yes, I have all the equipment and I want to be your tech person, the best thing, and I was listening to Jay Cranda, which I'm going to put he is this pastor for the online church of Saddleback and has been doing this forever. He just did a series of 3 videos, and he uses church online platform. They have a lot of technical equipment, of course, huge church. And so he's experiencing that, but in his video of getting people online quickly, he's saying, you want to just use a phone. You want to just stream to Facebook Live. Just start having conversations with people. You can do that from your computer as well, if you have a camera in your computer. That's the way that we do it. You don't have to have a tripod. I have so often, you don't have to have lights. I've so often propped my phone up and found a good spot with natural lighting. Make sure the background is, not cluttered, that it's inviting to people the best you can. Maybe you're outside. You just need to make sure you have a strong connection when you're going live. So those, just make it easy. See, we want to see how many people are responding. The people are really what's more important than the production behind it at this point. Okay, Adam, what is watch party? All right, so watch party would be useful in a group if you are inviting your congregation, for instance. You could use this, like you're reading a Bible study. Let me think for a minute. You're reading a Bible study together, and then you want to watch a video. So watch party is basically taking any live that's been on Facebook and then reposting it and inviting people to watch it together. So it's a great idea. Facebook has been testing this and trying to get it to work. I have had not any success. So with watch parties, because basically you're sharing an already created video that's going to be static. So it's going to be more like church TV with people to watch together. So you're basically, it's like I'm inviting you to watch a TV show with me on Facebook, but it's really someone else's video. I think this would be great if you could use like we do videos in women's ministries or other Bible studies, where you have your book, you do your workbook for the week, you come, you watch a video of the person speaking. Well, if you could put that on Facebook and then have a time where all your people came together in a watch party, that would work. But you can't because of copyright. So even right now, media has an incredible library of things. And the only way to do that, to share a video, would be to do your own. So the leader of that group would share a video. Everybody else would have to watch the video on their phone individually. So that is a bridge we haven't made yet. I don't know if I confused it more. I'm just saying you can try watch parties. It does not hurt you to try them. I have not found them to be successful because mostly it goes back to that people want your live video. They want the interaction. They're not interested in watching a replay, unless, and you could just share the regular video in that case and tell your group we're all going to watch it at, whatever time. So it could change. Michael is saying that watch parties help make live videos visible to friends. Yes, so it will pop up just like any other thing that I share. Angela is sharing a video for everybody to watch right now. You can try it. Like I said, tell me if you have a different result. I have been trying it for 18 months and I still try it just to see if it's changed because you don't know how Facebook is. And I still have not had people respond, maybe one person or two people, which those people are important for sure. But yeah, you can do it in other ways too. So, all right, how do I invite people to watch my Facebook Live presentation? That's a good question. So you can make an event and invite people to come join you. You can share it, have someone share it in Messenger. You could get on actually, and I've done this before, and I have started the video and then had my computer next to me and shared it in Messenger. So if you have a Messenger group, you could share it just to the group. If you have individual people you want to share it with, you could just say, I want, well, I'm sharing with my friends, you share with yours, and we can share. So, and then if you have shares, likes, and comments, Facebook will share it for you to your friends that are online and to the surrounding community if you have a page. So that's a great question. Keely, I put his link, it's jcranda.com at Saddleback. He's the online pastor at Saddleback. And I did post those videos on the PCL digital ministry training page as well for you. Yes, Adam, good question. If someone shares while you're live, will the live feed show up on your page and on their page in real time? Absolutely. Now, if I share to a group or if someone else shares to a group, when we have prayer, we'll have anywhere from 25,000 to 50,000 people join at some time during the hour. And so when I share to, there's several groups that I'm a part of and that want that video. So I'll share to those groups. But you, the person who's doing the live, will not see the comments or the people watching from other groups. So that's why having an encourager team or teaching people, you know, that when you share to a group, will you go in and check to make sure those people, if they have questions or if they're commenting, that you respond to them is important. I always go to the groups after that I've shared to and make sure, especially when it's prayer, that I'm getting their prayer requests and that I'm following up. And I say that in the video, that their comments, their prayer requests, they matter to me. And if I don't catch them on the live, I will catch them on the, you know, afterwards. Like I'm going to be watching for that. So it's good questions. Good questions. This is where you kind of get in the weeds. Because there's one of my friends, Kim, she's like, Angela, you have a lot in that head of yours, and I don't know how you're going to get that all on paper. And I'm like, well, this is the way. Just ask questions. Afterwards, you can connect with me, connect on the PCL. Here, I'll just put at in the, I'm going to put it in the notes, at PCL. Okay, the PCL Digital Ministry Training. You can just type that into the search in Facebook and find it, and I will approve you. Zach, can you retype the question, Zach? Pastor Steve's question. Can you retype it? I just want to make sure I get that for you. Yes, we'll post Janet's document in the, let's see, Janet, if you're still on, you could post it in the chat. That would be great. And I want to just go back to, oh, I see. Yeah, I did miss that. When you're going live, do you use a separate external microphone or just what's on your phone? I use just my iPhone. If you're plugging it into your soundboard at the back, if you have a technical staff and you're in church when we go back out of this world of, of quarantine, then you can plug it into your soundboard as well. That's really easy to do. You can Google that. I don't do that, so I'm not the technical person on that, but I've seen it done, and lots of people do that. They'll run the sound through the soundboard. But your phone is great. Just don't have it far from you. You want to make sure you're looking at it. You don't want the side of your head. We talked a lot about those things in the first video, so I hope that's helpful for you. You can use a lapel mic, and that can be plugged into your phone. They have them. You can get them at Amazon for inexpensive, but honestly, I haven't found it that you needed it. All right. Let me see what we got here. I want to make sure that I share with you everything. I had a lot of, oh, here, I have a couple different links to share from the churchgrowth.org, the spiritual gift survey. You might just be praying on how you could use these right now. They'd be great interactive tools to post in. That would be a great theme for a group right now. Becoming a digital minister. Like, did you know that everybody has influence, influencing others online? I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could do, and you could, while people are at home and looking for something to do, you could definitely have them doing these spiritual gift tests or the Strength Finders test or the free DISC test, and or assessment, if you like that word better. And I'm just going to post it here so you can have that. All right, there should be 2 links. Yep. All right, that showed up. All right, what questions do you have? Okay, so Janet's saying she is trying to post it, and if you can just email her, or I can also post it in our PCL Digital Ministry Training page. It's a Google Doc, and so we can make that accessible. Janet's teaching on caring for community in personal ways, and so we'll make that available. These are good questions. I feel like you are all really getting this. So let's talk about your goals for this coming Sunday. What are you planning on doing for Sunday? And let's see if we can troubleshoot some things for you to get good help. Building a team is going to be your top priority as far as getting people on board with you. And even the simplest thing, take a look at our job descriptions for the encouraging team and see how you can get people to help you with sharing and commenting and liking for your videos you're going to be doing this week. All right, I want to tell you, just to make this simple, because we've, in these 3 sessions, we really have gone through a lot of information. And so I just thought it would be fun for you to hear kind of what a day in the life of a social media pastor looks like. This is outside my teaching job. And I also am going to give you one more free link to... This is the link. Oh, that did not work. What happened? That's weird. Okay, so that's not working. I was giving you a link and it came up in symbols to Pivot Leadership on Amazon, so you can get the free copy of it today. Come here, buddy. Come here. And okay, so Keely has a good question about Sunday. We are thinking of pre-recording worship and then going live for the teaching. Is there a smooth way to switch between the two? On the PCL Digital Ministry page, we have had the question, which is a good one, of how do we get 2 people on the same screen? That's not necessarily what Keely is asking, but it's making me it's reminding me of this. And there, we talked about this, I think, last week as well. Facebook used to do that, so I could just scroll here and click on someone's name, and then it would say, do you want to invite them onto the video? So you could do that with a worship team. They don't do that anymore. And so now you need an outside app or software, computer software, to do 2 people at the same time. B.live org, I believe it is. And I think, Kathy, you put that in the comments last time. They have a great, easy to work with, and you can brand, you can put a lower third on there and put people's names or what the subject is or Bible verses. It's a little bit like the next level technical. I haven't used it just because of time, because I like to invest my time more in answering people's messages and praying with them than to make it pretty, I guess. So I have enough, I feel like that's been my priority, but it really is cool when I see people do it. And so if you can get someone to help you with that. Oh, it looks like Janet was able to post the care team model document to Google Docs. So if you have access to Google Docs, make sure to grab that link before you leave the video, because this is the best place to get it, and quickly. And I will put it definitely in the resource list, but for today, if you want that, that's great. And Kathy posted a BeLive for you. All right, so back to Keely's. We're thinking of pre-recording worship and then going live for the teaching. There's 2 ways you can do this. If you pre-record, you might consider just pre-recording the whole thing and then posting it. If you have a page, you can post it as a premiere. You look for that, you can Google that, premiere video. And so basically, this is a great way to post your pre-recorded worship and lives. And then Facebook shows in the, like on here, it says that I'm live right now. Facebook will promote it as if it's live. Now, the only problem with that is you can't talk to people, which is really the importance of going Facebook Live. But I have used it because there's been lots of times where maybe Ron from Uganda was had limited internet, or we needed to do the live at a time when he was sleeping because he's 9 hours different than us, or I couldn't do, like I was going to be out of town and I couldn't do Sunday. Usually we just have someone else do it. We don't do like a traditional Sunday, so it's a little bit different for us. But if I had a message I wanted to get out, then I can record it and post it to a premiere, a Facebook premiere. So that's one way to do the combination of both. The other way to do it is to, you can upload just your worship if you want to pre-record that as a premiere. And then once that's over, you go live on the page. You can do that. You can also do back-to-back. Now this is just the easiest way. We've done this at Pursue Church Live, where someone comes on, because we're from all different places right now. So if your worship leader is at home in New York and I'm here in the Pacific Northwest, and or even within your town, the worship leader can go on and say, Pastor Angela is going to be coming on live, stay tuned. I see this actually happening. I was watching the Colbert late night show, and he's doing this with, so he's videotaping from his home, in his backyard or his bathtub or wherever, just to be funny. And then he has his, the guy who plays the music, he's videotaping, and then they're using a shared screen to bring him on. So this is very popular right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's looking for that. So I would say try. So you can put all your pre-recorded stuff into a premiere, and then you could be available in the comments to ask questions and to talk with people and to welcome them, or your team can. Or two, you could do two, and you could go back to back if you have people in different places. Or three, you could use Be Live. Or four, you could do one as a premiere where it's pre-recorded and one live back to back. How's that for like a lot of options? There are a lot of options. Absolutely. This is a great question. When someone likes your video, and you can hover over the heart or the thumbs up, and it will give you a drop down of names. First of all, it'll give you the option to invite them to like your page, and you can do that right there. And then second of all, it'll give you the option to message that person. And so I would have a standard welcome message to say, we're so excited that you joined us today. And then ask them how you can serve them. So great question. Absolutely. I'm just reading the chat. There's lots of good stuff here. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe someone else can look up I don't know why my link to the free book is not working, but if you just Google Amazon Pivot Leadership, Small Steps, Big Change, you can get your free copy today. Okay. Oh, okay. This is a great question. And when in session 2, you just briefly talked about using Facebook to accept tithes and offerings. I went to Facebook this morning, but couldn't figure out how to do that. I'll put a link. You're going to go to Social Change at Facebook. You need to make sure in your settings that you are a nonprofit. And then they have a form that you can fill out. You'll need to give 3 months of bank statements, I believe. A letter from we had to get a letter from the secretary of our national office saying that we were actually part of this group 503C. But they were very hands-on as far as, that's a pun, in this world where you can't touch each other. but they were very hands-on. Facebook was, as far as getting you set up. You can then if you look at my page, it says donate. So then all that money goes into your church account, links to a church account, not a personal account, that's connected to that 503c. So that's one way of money. You should definitely have, we use Subsplash as our giving app, and that's also on our website. And that also goes directly into our bank account, our church, Presty Church Live bank account. There was a lot of people that gave great ideas of other ways to do that. So PayPal or PushPay, or there's many different ways to give, Cash Apps, Venmo. You can, whatever is easiest for your people is going to be great. But once you get people set up online, then like for me, I tithe every week, right? And I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to remember it. And like, oh, did I write the check or whatever? And so it really does make it easier, and you'll get more consistent tithing from having online giving. So I'm not the expert in that. Subsplash is, I'll share, they're doing some free workshops about giving, about doing live streaming. They're doing some workshops on building an app. Did I say that already? I think so. Anyways, so if you're interested in all that, then I'll share those links as well with you. And I think she just sent me those yesterday. So that'll be great. Oh, thanks, Zach. So it says you get the book for free if you sign up for the Kindle Unlimited. So you can sign up for the 30-day trial and then cancel it after. Hey, with those kind of things, oh, this is just free advice from Angela. Write on your calendar the day you need to cancel the trial if you don't want to keep it. Okay, I wanted to tell you about the day in a life of a pastor. We're getting to the end of our time together, and it's just been such a joy to be with you, and you've been such an encouragement to me. So thank you so much. And thank you, Michael, for inviting me, for really just being like someone who's pushing the kingdom of God forward by offering all these resources to your leaders. I really appreciate that. It's so cool to be able to partner with you in this way. So when I was thinking about what does a social media pastor's life look like, it's very much, I mean, it's simple. I mean, we have gone through a lot of information, and in the first year, there's a huge learning curve as far as if you're doing social media, online church or church online, whatever way you want to call it, all day, every day. So this will be an abbreviation for all of you, but like I get up in the morning, I feed my dogs because they're usually the most demanding. I get lunches ready for my kids and my family. While I'm doing that, I'm listening to my Bible and I'm asking God, like, what is it that you want? Then basically I connect with my team in Messenger. I might connect with them on a Marco Polo, which is a very, very good way to see face to face. So I can make lunches and connect with my team on a Marco Polo to see how they're doing, to see what they're thinking about. We do a lot of brainstorming and in Messenger, a lot of idea gathering in video chats like Marco Polo. So you can use those things for your benefit. Then I go to my computer and I will check through all messages, which to make sure everybody has been seen. We do have a couple of our team members who also monitor messages. So when I'm away or sleeping, then those people are getting attention the quickest way that we can, and that's important. So we do that. I also will send out about 50 messages. So it might be that I do go to a post and I click on who liked it. I'll invite those people. I'll send them a personal message to thank them for watching or for sharing or whatever it is. Then I'll usually be working on, once I know my people are attended to, I'll work on creation. So what is our content going to be? And posting. So try to post at the beginning of the week have everything posted for the week so you don't have to think about that if you can. But if you have to do it on the fly, as this world right now we live in is being flexible and adaptable, you can just have a schedule for yourself. Maybe you want to post at 5 a.m. and at 7 p.m. And I'll tell you, this is another thing I haven't talked about. Finding the right time for your community will flex. So what you can do is test it. So maybe the first weekend we do this, we'll test, all right, so we're gonna post at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then we're gonna post it at 7 p.m. And maybe that's a video right now in this time of crisis. And then we'll look at the insights on the page to see when, well, let me back up. Then the second week, we'll change the times. So we'll adjust it to maybe 10 a.m. and then, midnight. And then we can see in the insights, Facebook will tell you when you're going to go post something. If you want to go schedule it, which you can do on Facebook as well. Hootsuite and Buffer are great if you're posting to multiple platforms, but with Facebook alone, you can schedule just to your page. Okay, so totally lost my train of thought now. See, if we were just talking, you could be like, well, Angela, you were talking about this. Oh, the timing thing. So Facebook will tell you when you go to schedule on Facebook, the best time last week was 10 a.m. on Monday. Like that was, Facebook will tell you that. So don't be afraid to play around with it. The times that are best for our church are not necessarily going to be the best times for your church. You can also Google best times to post on social media, and they will give you a kind of a graph or a bell curve of when people are online. Right now, people are online all the time. So we're finding the best times are early in the morning and then at night, 7 o'clock or later, to do a little video of encouragement because people's anxiety levels are rising. Now, when this is over, that's going to change. Usually, then the evening hours, dinner time is not a great time because people aren't online. And I also we have an international community we're looking at. So for me, it's going to be different. So you can, number one, you can go and look at the bell curve on Google of the best times to post. You can play around with it. You can repost things. There's no wrong answer. So just give it a try and with posts and creating. We talked about creating. You can get free content in many places, and I'll keep posting those resources as I get them on the resource document and on the PCL digital ministry training page for you. Probably the best place for me to do that. You can, if you like to do graphics or you have someone or a teenager or someone who wants to create graphics, you could set them up with free apps like Spark, but most teenagers already know what the graphic apps are. So I like to play around with that stuff. So I do that, creating content, inviting people. Talked about that already. And then I wrote down create again because that's usually somewhere in the middle of this. I will go out, get exercise, and then come back and create again. And then things that I could do better for sure would be helping my team, equipping my team and getting them engaged. And so that's something I'm going to be working on alongside of you. All right. So how's everybody doing? Do you have any last questions that you'd like to ask before we close? Yeah, yes, Pastor Steve, thank you. You absolutely can share these videos with anybody. That's a good question. We want every person to have the help they need. And they can join, they can follow my blog, they can join my Facebook page, they can, whatever is helpful, we want to do that for you. So thank you for sharing. We need each other right now, for sure. Oh, okay. So I'm going to be posting the resource list for you on my blog, and I'm going to put it right here in the comments. If you sign up to subscribe, then you don't have to keep looking. And I'm doing more content for digital ministry training. I actually have a link on there. And then I will post it on the PCL ministry, digital ministry training page on Facebook. And Michael, Forney, and Kathy will have a copy, so they'll email it to all the pastors in the PNWC and post it on your private Facebook page, I'm assuming, right, Kathy? And where else? And then you can share that with other people. There are other digital ministers that are doing a great job at we're like pulling together to get resources. So as best I can, and if you find some, we're going to post those on the PCL Digital Ministry Training page and share those resources with each other. It's like I said, you have a different circle than I do, and so we want to share. I'm definitely not, I don't have all the answers for sure, so we want to share those with you. Oh, I don't want to miss this. Okay, this is something about Zoom and Bible study. For those that are watching on Facebook right now, we will post the video of the Zoom, because then you'll get to see the screenshots and you'll get to see all the happy faces and people that join. So we want you to be a part of that. And you're very welcome. Thank you, Adam. Okay. Yes. Okay. This is Pastor Steve. Yes, absolutely. I love Zoom, and I use Zoom in the first groups that I did with Equip Her. We did online groups and we did in-person groups, and it's a great resource. Like right now, we're recording this, and you can. And I think we talked about that, friends. We talked about that in the first one, and there was a lot of information shared in the notes. There's different levels that you can, there's a free version, and you can record with that, but it has a maximum of 40 minutes. So you can pay for, what was it, $14, I think someone shared, a month, and you can start and cancel anytime and restart. And I've done that. There's been seasons when I've used Zoom more than others. And so that's the thing, is in digital ministry, I don't ever start something until I know there's a need for it. Right now, there's a need for you to be present with people, to be present with the members of your church, to be present with your team, to be present with the surrounding community that you serve and want to bring into the church. And so there's a lot of things that we can try and we can do. So I would do the most simple, so you can invest your time as a pastor into the people around you. So I think that Zoom is an excellent tool for small groups. You can also, with the paid version, and I don't think, Steve, that you would need anything more than the once a month $14. That's what I've used. Is that you can break into rooms, and they make it super easy for the admin. And so let's say you have your Bible study and you've got your 12 or 20 people, then you can break them into groups of 3 or 4. And you could give them a question to talk about, and then they could come back and you could share what each other was hearing or learning. Okay, that was a good question. Thank you. Yes, you're welcome, Susan. Thank you for joining and being here. I've been waiting for this day to be able to share, because it's really quite magical what God's doing online, and he's got it. So don't you worry. We're here, like all of us right here together collectively, wanting to make this work together. So if you get into a place where you feel like, oh my goodness, my brain is so overloaded, reach out, because we've been there. We've been there. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we are gonna make a difference. We're gonna be the light on the hill. You can't cover us up with social media, right? So don't be afraid. Don't be hard on yourself in the learning curve. Every day I am learning something new about Facebook, social media, because it moves very quickly. So you just have to be flexible and adaptable, and maybe that's something God's gonna build in you during this season. I know he sure has for me. But it's a better way of living, really. Let me close with the scripture that we started with at the beginning of our journey, which seems like we have been together for months. And it was only just a few days ago on Monday that we started this. Isn't that cool how God is bringing us together? And we read from the book of Acts, and we were just talking about and encouraged by God's words to us of what the church is doing then and now. And so we can do all of this online. We can do all of this in person. And so it's really an and both that I want you to remember, and I want you to take away from this. And when you're encouraging other people, like, God is setting you up for your church to thrive, not to strive. And so many of our churches are striving right now just to keep their doors open. And that's a huge stress for our pastors. And so I just want to be a part of the problem solving. And I know God is doing that. He's giving us like incredible tools to work with during this time of crisis and building his kingdom through you. All right, so this is what we are focused on as church leaders. We're joining together all believers and who are devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, sharing in the Lord's Supper and in prayer. A deep sense of awe came over them. Lord, I'm just praying right now for everyone who's watching and will watch by replay, that like they'll have this deep sense of awe in this time of crisis, because they see your hand on it all. They see you working constantly behind the scenes, bringing people that never knew you before, that were too busy to even think about church on Sunday. They're thinking about you every day. They have big questions. So Lord, we just thank you for that, that you're showing us miraculous signs. You're giving us dreams and visions for the future, that resources that only you have, Lord, you're sharing. So I'm thankful for that right now. I love this. And all the believers met together constantly, sharing everything they had. Okay, share your toilet paper, share your hand sanitizer. What could you do to share what you have today and to help your congregation to do that as well in a safe way? They worship together at the temple and met in homes. Well, we can meet in homes with our family. We can meet online. God is giving us creative ways to do this, sharing their meals. Pastor Cindy and her husband shared last night on our live that they're going to do an online cooking class and invite people into their kitchen to make meals for other people in this time of need. That's going to be super fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's, we come with great joy and generosity, don't we, from our hearts. God is our provision. He's been really working on me this year about my attitude of lack. That he is not a God of lack. He's a God of generosity. He's a God of prosperity. He's a God, and I'm not talking about the prosperity gospel. I'm talking about he's meeting every one of your needs. And so we don't have to be in that place where we feel like we're striving, because he wants us to thrive. And he is so much bigger than our eyes can see. So Lord, open our eyes to that and our ears to hear. So we will go praising God and enjoying each other's company along the way. And you know what the promise is that each day when we do this, lives are saved. And we're seeing that in your churches as you go online. The statistics that the church online platform shared, the over 15,000 people giving their lives to Jesus. And then probably the next video we need to do is like, okay, what do you do with the 10 people that just gave their lives to Christ and need to be baptized and want to be baptized when you can only have online service? Well, we can answer those questions, trust me. And so don't worry. God has a plan, and it's a great one. So I'm just incredibly grateful for you. I don't know, Michael, can you pop on and close us in prayer, or Kathy? I see you watching there. That would be so great. You can message me if.
I would be happy to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to give you all encouragement. Angela, you have just been fantastic in all of these sessions, and I just really want to say thank you for being so generous with your time and your knowledge to help us all navigate these waters. We're so thankful to you. And Janet, what an amazing gift to be able to share that as well. Thank you. We just, it's so exciting to see the body of Christ. I mean, one of the things that's so exciting to me to see the body of Christ come together and share these ideas and encourage one another and equip each other for this moment. And so you're all a part of that. I'm going to be writing a post a little later today. I'll post up on my page 2 on what the church can learn from Jimmy Kim or from Kim Fallon. So just talking about how to do online. So in any case, listen, let's close in prayer, and we're praying for you all. And let's just invite the Lord into this. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for your love and your grace. I just pray a blessing on Angela and Janet, and Lord, all those that have shared different ideas and what they've learned throughout this. God, I pray a blessing on them. I pray that you would pour out and be generous to them, even as they have been generous with us. I pray for each and every pastor represented either on this call now, or watch this online later, or watching it online now via Facebook Live. Jesus, we just freely and fully confess that we need your help in this time. Lord, I pray that you would build your church, that you would draw people to yourself, that you would give every amount of wisdom, all the resources that are needed for every single pastor to be able to hear your voice clearly, to be creative in how they fulfill your commission, and Lord, how they build your church in this time. But I pray, Lord, that you would build your church in this time through all of our efforts, whether they be great efforts or flawed efforts. Lord, thank you for your grace. Just pour out of your grace abundantly and work in us and through us and in spite of us in all of this time. And I know that for some, every day seems like greater and greater restrictions are in place. And Lord, we pray that you would help us to lead through this with wisdom and confidence and clarity. And Lord, we pray for the many, many people that are impacted physically by this virus. Lord, I have so many friends that now are either them or their families are impacted. So we just take time to pray for them. We pray that you would bring divine healing to those folks that are struck with this virus. We also just pray in the name of Jesus that you would dissipate and stop this plague. Lord, you've done it before in history. We ask you to do it again. Lord, would you please intervene on behalf of so many that are suffering? By your grace and your mercy, would you put an end to this pandemic? And Lord, we ask these things, the praise of your glorious name, and to the building of your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching live and for being on this Zoom meeting. It's been just an honor and a pleasure. And thank you again for inviting me, Michael. It's been a great week. Really encouraging. All right, everybody, we'll see you online, and we're here for you. Take care.